The left versus the right. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's the left versus the right. I'm David Patterson, and I'm not even going to waste any time bringing in my broadcasting partner, James Flippen, because I've got a question right at the top of this show. James, where are you?
So what? I am in a cave somewhere where I'm making an attempt to stay warm. Because as I heard from Liz Rodabali at the start of the
9
newscast,
degrees.
9 degrees. So, this is nothing to mess with. Certainly not the best winter, no matter how you slice it. It's been pretty rough. But, I'm excited to be with you in any way, shape, and form.
Now, James, you do a lot of shows out of this studio. Do you know what the temperature in this studio right here is? As far as I know, 12 degrees. That's my own personal thought about it. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not much better than what it's like directly outside. Sometimes there's a little bit of an improvement just because you are actually behind glass there in that studio. You're not directly out in the elements, but it could be pretty close. So, yeah, we might have Jonas go in there and pump up the temp a little bit. Absolutely. So as we start this show today, James, there's there is some good news and there is some really bad news. The good news is that John Catsimatidis's prediction came true. He happened to host the Friday night show on the day that the stock market went up to 50,100 points. And John was congratulating himself all night, as all of us are, because it's clear that he's clairvoyant. And the rest of us just try to, follow in his footsteps. But, that's going to,
I'll just pick up real quickly there and just note, Governor Patterson, that, John has been absolutely steadfast on that. I respect the heck out of it. I feel as though, I shared in a lot of his optimism in the so-called tariff era. I remember when that was first kicking off and I was doing more of that overnight hosting at the time and kind of digging my heels in, saying, hey, I don't think this is such a bad thing. You have to think about the way the globalized markets look at us as the great consumer and the pricing pressure. And this is a dynamic that John Catsimatidis is obviously going to know very well. The pricing pressure is really more on the producer if you're thinking about a China or a Mexico or whatever it may be. So, hats off to President Trump and what's going on with the economy right now. And, the job market's looking pretty healthy as well. So we're moving in the right direction.
So, of course, when something great happens, there are always a few who really don't want to perceive that it is great. And it's some economists that came out and said that there have been a very large increase of layoffs, particularly in the federal system right now. And I don't know that automatically means that that's why the stock market went up. I don't know why people are making that argument.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I didn't really think that was connected to it at all, because I think that everything right now, the stock market, my father was a financial advisor, Governor Patterson, and he always kind of taught me that the stock market's a push and pull between fear and greed. So in the sense of all the run up that's been happening with AI and the uncertainty about what's to come with this next technological advance, there has been a lot of speculative investing in the stock market, because, the stock market's just one measure of the economy. It's not everything. But, the layoffs, I think that's a much more complicated thing. But if you look at the vast percentage of those layoffs that are connected to Amazon and UPS specifically, so just those two companies, Amazon and UPS, the conversation becomes a bit more nuanced, because then you're trying to figure out, well, why did those companies expand their hiring as much over the last few years? UPS is kind of folded into Amazon in terms of what they do. So it's a complicated thing. But yeah, I certainly don't think the stock market popped because there was people losing their jobs or whatever.
Right. Well, James, this is why you are a great talk show host, because only you have a father who described the stock market as the coalition of fear and greed. Now, I think that is one of the most quotable quotes I've ever heard. But as we move on, there's kind of been, for me today, an eerie silence all day, almost like something's about to happen. And, of course, the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie and the second ransom letter, if it is a ransom letter, was sent to one of the KOLD, I think, in Chicago, and, of course, was immediately sent to the authorities. And there was a lot of conversation about last night, but I didn't hear any on the news stations or anywhere else today. And I guess, really right now, everyone's just waiting to see what actually happens. It's not even clear if there was an overt threat in the notice. No one would read it. And obviously, so my question to you is, when someone does something like this and they kidnap someone and they want a ransom, why would they notify the media?
Well, I mean, I think that's a really good point, Governor Patterson. And I think that you're probably putting on a little bit of your investigative hat by even asking that question, because it's kind of dawned on me a bit that some of those ransom notes, especially when you talk about Bitcoin, we were just talking about the stock market, and the Bitcoin price stabilized on Friday amid that whole tech advance. Why are they asking for Bitcoin? Well, any, I guess, smart kidnapper wants untraceable money, and we know Bitcoin sort of is that. But any of those ransom notes could just be a new crime of opportunity in and of themselves. Yeah, it's such a high-profile case. Savannah Guthrie, her mom, everybody's talking about it. It's also getting coverage on a lot of national TV and radio. So why wouldn't someone who's even out of the country say, oh, here's our opportunity, get some Bitcoin out of this, get some digital cash out of this? In the newsroom, Governor Patterson, we've done, a lot of speculating about what this all could be and kind of what may or may not have happened there. It's just awful. I mean, I think that the reality is, the longer you get into it, there's a reason why it starts to go quieter and quieter, because there's probably very little the cops have right now. And there was a report that came out on Friday, I guess it was yesterday, that they probably should have scrambled this one plane or helicopter sooner than they did. And it's in this foothills area of southern Arizona, so there's a lot of rocky terrain that otherwise you can't necessarily search. This plane, I think, has thermal imaging, so maybe if it was early enough in the process. I mean, I don't know. The entire case is obviously an extremely tragic one.
It's very tragic, and it's on people's minds, and it's just a terrible, terrible outcome for a family that has been very successful and has, contributed back to society and the whole thing. And to hear it in this type of a situation is frightening beyond the imagination. And it made me think about a movie I once saw. The name of the movie was Ransom. It was came out in 1956. Ralph Bellamy, who was always famous for being the understudy or, the supporting actor. He must have won like 5 Academy Awards as supporting. He never was the winner. But in this movie, his son is kidnapped, and there are ransom notes going back and forth. And he's a very wealthy man in the movie. And at the end of the movie, he goes on television and tells, and all the TV stations have him on, and he tells the kidnappers that he's not going to pay the ransom, which is, when your son is there, that's a bold thing to do. And he says he's not going to do it. And he said what he's going to do is take the equal amount of money they would have paid in ransom, put the two amounts of money together, and hunt this person down for the rest of his life. And this decision didn't go over very well with his family and other people. And he's just sitting in a chair in his yard lamenting that he did it, when suddenly you hear these footsteps and the son comes on the screen, and that's how the movie ends. But those type things are, for novels or movies or plays and that kind of thing. But this is a very serious situation. And all I can do is pray along with you that the family can withstand it and that Nancy Guthrie will be returned.
Yeah, same. Absolutely same. And by the way, there was a remake of that movie Ransom in the 90s where Mel Gibson played the father.
Oh, that's right.
Had lost his son. Which pretty good remake, I think. But yeah, no, it's just a terrible one, Governor Patterson. I mean, it really makes your imagination run wild in all the most terrible ways. Like, why hasn't there been a ransom note? Is it possible that this was some different kind of crime that then Mrs. Guthrie, was injured accidentally in the course of that crime? I mean, I'll just go ahead and speculate out loud some of the stuff I've talked about off air, where if it was some sort of a burglary ring that's looking at senior homes and cases a home and says, well, most of the time when she's going to church the next day, she's asleep by 10 o'clock. And so they try to go in and look for jewelry or look for cash or look for gold or look for silver. And, she happens to be up and then she gets knocked over, hits her head. I don't know. This is obviously a totally made up scenario, but that would lead to a situation where maybe she's then taken, not even in a kidnapping sense, but because somebody's so worried about the evidence of what might happen. So it's just really terrible. Obviously, we all hope for the best. And I know the prayers that we're all sending out is that Nancy Guthrie comes home fine. But with the fact that there was blood found at the scene and the footage we've seen of the home where there was blood outside of it, I don't know. It makes you really fear for the worst, especially since we're coming up on a full week since she disappeared.
Absolutely. James, I was studying for a law school exam years ago, and somebody rings the doorbell. I was living in Long Island at the time. And then they continued to ring the doorbell. And I thought that it might have been a friend of mine who, knew I was home. And I start down the stairs from the second story, and someone smashes in the front door. I mean, even when I tell this story, I cringe. And so I am now upstairs, and then I hear them starting to come up the stairs. So I go in the bathroom, I open the bathroom window, I kick out the screen and jump out of the bathroom window. And I had to run across the highway to get to a hospital where I could call the hospital and tell them what happened. And when I'm coming back from the hospital, this police car pulls up and the two officers get out and start asking me where I'm coming from. And I'll never forget, my first reaction, I didn't follow, but my second reaction was I looked at the officers and I said, gentlemen, if I'm the one who's robbing the house, why am I walking back toward the house? And so they said to me, do you have a picture of yourself in the house? I said, I have a whole family album. We can have drinks and I'll tell you my life story, but I want you to catch these people. So we're on the left versus the right, a little humility to try to generate some positive thinking. We're going to take a break, and then my great friend and broadcasting partner James Flippen and I will analyze the rest of the issues that have occurred this week.
The left versus the right on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The left versus the right. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James, I think you and I need to make a movie. What do you think?
I like the sound of that. What kind of movie are we talking about?
Maybe it would be about talk show hosts.
But I mean, that could be done. Yeah. I mean, there was a movie years ago. I think it was called Big Fan, and Patton Oswalt played a guy who was kind of obsessed with calling into a sports talk radio station. And I think it was Scott Farrell who played the host. Maybe just as his voice. I can't remember if he was actually ever on screen.
And he was blowing off that he was in danger, and then he wound up in danger.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was one of those situations that was kind of similar to that awful, real life case where the guy, I guess, was out of Denver. That was like probably in the 80s or something like that. The guy who was a talk show host and he got shot.
He got shot. I remember that. And at that time, Larry King was on the air in New York at about midnight every night. And, it was a really big deal when the Colorado talk show host was murdered, actually. I wanted to just move aside for a second. The Olympics started last night. There have been some very critical remarks made by Olympic athletes from other countries about the Olympic athletes from our country and the lifestyle and culture of our country. You know about this, right?
Well, I'm pretty initiated with these comments that I've heard from some of the U.S. Olympic athletes. I actually cut some of them and prepared them for us today. So I do have a cut of that where a couple of these, I'm actually not really totally clear on who the woman is that's in this clip if we get to it, where she's being critical of some aspect of, I don't know, how life is so hard for the queer community these days or something like that. But the whole aspect of the U.S. athletes criticizing ICE has really been what's front and center for me. I mean, I'm not as up on maybe these foreign. Was it also the British skier who wrote the "Down with ICE" message or something like that? I mean, I've seen it making the rounds on social media. I'll say that much.
So it's just part of this new world that we live in, where everybody has to make a comment, and most of the comments are negative, and most of the description of the conduct is just that it's adversarial. Like there's nothing we do now where there aren't two different sides to every issue. And I think it's just an unfortunate thing that it's happening. We knew it happens in this country, but now apparently we've shipped it overseas to people who want to criticize our lifestyle and just the way that we interact as Americans.
Well, it doesn't necessarily surprise me to hear that there would be foreign, Olympians who want to criticize the U.S. way or the culture and the so-called ugly American stereotype and all that. But when it's the U.S. athletes that are criticizing the U.S., it does get pretty hard to take. Actually, really, and I really think that these people are kind of the pits because, we root for Team USA because it's a chance to have that collective spirit and consciousness, and we pull together, we support each other. It's about being American. And I'll just kind of leave aside how ironic it is that it's ICE and citizenship we're talking about that they're protesting against, but leave out the politics. Yeah. Right? I mean, this is something I know we want to get to with the Super Bowl too, Governor Patterson, but you're exercising for a living. You're paid to eat and sleep and train and go skiing. I mean, come on. Now, you're out there.
Now, before we go on, do we have any of the cuts that you provided us?
Oh, yes.
With?
Yeah. So let's cue this up, Jonas, back at the shop, if you don't mind. This will be cut 2 as courtesy. Well, I think it's all kinds of different news organizations that are there, but NBC is the one that obviously carries the Olympics. Let's listen to these athletes express their frustration with the United States of America in cut 2, please.
I feel heartbroken about what's happened in the United States when, I'm pretty sure you're referencing ICE and some of the protests and things like that. I think that as a country, we need to focus on respecting everybody's rights and making sure that we're treating our citizens as well as anybody with love and respect. And I hope that when people look at athletes compete in the Olympics, they realize that that's the America that we're trying to represent.
It brings up mixed emotions to represent the U.S. right now, I think. It's a little hard. There's obviously a lot going on that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I think a lot of people aren't. If it aligns with my moral values, I feel like I'm representing it. Just because I'm wearing the flag doesn't mean I represent everything that's going on in the U.S.
Yeah, it's been a hard time for the community overall under this administration. It isn't the first time that we've had to come together as a community and try and fight for our human rights. And now, especially, it's not just affecting the queer community, but many other communities. And I think that we are able to support each other in a way that we didn't have to before.
Well,
so
go ahead.
Anyway, take it away, Governor Patterson. I want to hear your thoughts.
It's just that forum was really set up for athletic competition. There's no other way that the people who spoke could speak. What they said was actually not as bad as what I thought it was going to be, James, because not any one of them just went right out and attacked anybody by name or anything like that, or, who's running this country. But the Super Bowl is one day a year, and who knows how that's going to work tomorrow. And then last night there was, the registering these protests. To me, it's just antithetical to what the whole event is supposed to be and what it was when it started 100 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I'm a sports guy, right? Governor Patterson, we like to sometimes get into whatever the local teams are doing and kind of say, oh man, this is driving us crazy with this team and that loss, and this win is so much better than that. And I like football. I like baseball. I like all sports. I think sports are great. Sports are in many ways like a microcosm of life. You have to pull together. You have to figure out a way to lean on each other's strengths. You have to find something within yourself that you didn't think was previously there. Push through the pain, push through the frustration. All of that is so applicable to life. And I think that part of the reason why we love our sports is because we kind of live through these athletes that are experiencing some of these moments, these challenges of, will you make it happen? Will you make that moment a win for you? And then that leads to the gold medal, or in some of the sports we're talking about, and we'll get into the Super Bowl later, it's the trophy that you're going to bring home as a team. And obviously they say flags fly forever and all that kind of stuff. But the political is so much less interesting, right? Like, I mean, we have to try to sometimes do it for a living, Governor Patterson. We're sitting here talking about politics and policy and economics and finance and all this kind of stuff that most of the time is nowhere near as interesting as sports. And yet these people are so desperate to put politics into everything, where you made a good point earlier, because we were talking about it off the air. It's such a good opportunity for people to be able to come together, put aside some of those differences. Maybe I'm into this sport, you're more into that sport, but it's something that we can all rally behind. And for the Olympics in particular, it's such a patriotic moment, right? I mean, nobody would, all due respect to the various great Olympic athletes, the Phelps of the world, and all the gymnasts and all the, even the great hockey teams, like the 1980 Olympic hockey teams, they're remembered because of what they represent. And it's really the best of America. It's the best of teamwork. It's the best of personal perseverance. And it's got nothing to do with whatever their politics is. It's the last thing we'd ever think about.
Exactly. And in 1980, the Russians were always known to be a fearful, fearless hockey team. When they, in one of the earlier, the pre-Olympic games that were played, they beat the Americans 7-1. And then the Americans wind up winning the gold medal, as they did against the Russians in that famous basketball game in which two of the NBA players were, by then the NBA players were sidelined, and the rest of the team went out and beat the Russians again. And that was something to celebrate and something to really feel that it's great for all of us as one, even if next day we disagree with each other about something else. And so, while we're kind of on that subject, James, why don't we get to the Super Bowl tomorrow? Take it away.
Yeah. Well, you said it earlier, you said it's really the one day of the year when everybody kind of knows what's up, right? It's a talking point. It's the American holiday. It's the chance for people that you go to your neighbor's party or it's your family member's party, maybe your close friend. Obviously, if your team is playing in the Super Bowl, it's the one day of the continuance that you don't really get to enjoy it because you're so worried about what's actually going to happen in the game.
Exactly.
I remember that being kind of a funny reality for me when I experienced that with the Giants being in it. I'm like, wow, this is always just such a casual throwaway game for me that I can kind of watch as a casual observer. It's anything but now when your team is in it. But yeah, it's just it's a thing that is a cultural experience for Americans, right? The Super Bowl, and I don't think the halftime show is usually that big of a deal or even that important. The game itself, I guess, the Patriots and the Seahawks, it doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of juice. They're both kind of fast risers in the sense that the Seahawks have been okay in recent years. They got a really good defense. Sam Darnold, well known to Jets fans, but it's not like he's a household name. And Drake May and the Patriots are kind of having burst on the scene under the leadership of Rabel. So there's not a lot of storyline behind both teams. It'd be better if they had played each other in the Super Bowl more recently, but that was 11 years ago now. So the game itself is kind of lacking in drama, and hopefully it's a good game. But I think that's why it's given so much oxygen to this Bad Bunny stuff and the controversy that is the divisive aspect of the halftime show.
You know what would be just dynamic and spectacular would be if he were to come out and perform, and not, other than as part of the performance, not say a word about anything, not one way or the other. So all of the right wingers that went over to what is his name? Kid Rock, and the people,
Turning Point USA is going to have Kid Rock.
Yeah, they're going to have Kid Rock for the people that don't want to listen to Bad Bunny. And then on the Bad Bunny station, Bad Bunny doesn't say anything. And I think that would really be a dynamic shot in the arm just for this country and all the people who live here.
I think at this point, Governor Patterson, I don't really think there's much that Bad Bunny needs to do to make this a success for him. I think that all he has to do is do at least a couple of songs in English, not wear a skirt, and not say or motion anything regarding ICE. I think that's really all. That's the trifecta for Bad Bunny right now. If he does that, I think it'll generally be a success. So we'll see. That's not necessarily a high bar to clear. But yeah, Vegas, I don't even know how to get, and I'm not trying to talk crap on anybody, but I don't even know how to get that other halftime show.
Yeah, I didn't even know what the name of the network was.
For me to, I don't know, go to the bathroom or something.
What's the name of the network that's going to carry it again?
Well, it's Turning Point USA. So, I mean, I guess I do know who it is. And I guess if I went to their YouTube page, then I could probably watch it. But I just don't see myself doing that. And I, once upon a time, I think Kid Rock was fine. But I'm not necessarily clamoring for him either. I'm not that into the halftime show, period, Governor Patterson. I could do without it, to be honest with you. I think the one that I remember being really good was Prince. Prince did a good halftime show.
Yeah, he
remember
did.
that was in Miami. It was
James,
raining.
I think what it is that the halftime show, even though, after 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, get these people out of here. I want to see the rest of the game. But I think that there is something about it that people who don't really even like sports like to watch the halftime show. It's mixing.
Yeah, but they get the commercials. They get the commercials.
Well, that's
we
true.
already have those people covered. This is a football game after all. I mean, I get that everybody's got nothing else to do on a Sunday in February. But for football fans, it's sort of important.
Guys in the other room, would you please make a note and send it to the owner of the station that James Flippen has flipped me, and I now agree with what he just said. So we're going to take another break.
We aim to do that here, Governor
We're going to take another break.
Convincing.
Yes, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple other things. But, on this freezing cold afternoon, where the projected high was 19, but Liz Radabali says now it's 9. So by then it should be about 1 degree. We are going to invite all of you to call in on any of the subjects we've talked about today, or even subjects we haven't talked about, right here at WABC. And so think about calling in while we take this break.
Yeah, and
the left versus the right on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Wherever Bud goes, his harmonica goes with him. It's a pocket full of soul. Now he's living with prostate cancer. He asked his doctor about Xtandi enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
The left versus the right. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, there wouldn't be a slugfest between WABC and any of the other stations. Think about the people, even when during the commercial break, Dominic Carter. Who did we follow this afternoon? Steve Moore, More Money. All of these great people. I mean, the all-star team. And Mr. Flippin and I are happy to be a part of it. And so, James, any thoughts on why Lindsey Vonn, in spite of a torn Achilles tendon, is still going to try to ski? You know, when in the, sports that we watch normally, when someone tears an Achilles tendon, they're out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely not torn Achilles tendon, for one thing, because I don't think it would be even possible if it was that. But it is her ACL.
Her ACL. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
But I do have to just say that it's kind of fascinating to me. And somebody made the amazing point on X, I guess it was. They had a video of her completing her training run. And they said, wait a minute. Have we been lied to by big ACL this entire time? How is it that she's skiing like this on a torn ACL? And I don't really have the answer to that. I mean, I know that in talking about the Super Bowl, in football terms, there are different severities to ACL tears, right? Like you can partially tear it. You can only slightly tear it. From what I've heard, she tore it completely. So I don't know. The ACL, the knee is weird because it's such an odd joint, I guess. The ACL, I think, is the one that sort of keeps it from going from side to side in a weird way. Like you don't want your lower leg to be kind of moving too much from side to side.
Yes.
So I think that's what the ACL does. And maybe just based off the way skiing kind of locks you in place to begin with, I don't know. I mean, that's a pretty crazy one. But yeah, I mean, I guess she figures this is her last one either way, and she wants to give it a shot. I hope it works out for her.
James, I invited the audience to call in, but I don't think we gave them a call-in number, did we?
No, I don't believe we did. I'm sure most of them know it by now by heart. But yeah, I could inform whoever's out there and does want to join the program, Left versus Right. I'm James Flippen, and he's Governor Patterson. 1-800-848-9222. That's 1-800-848-9222. I think there are some calls up there, Governor Patterson, but I know we're going to try to get those in towards the end of the show. The thing about the Olympics that is all just kind of coming back for me now in terms of the things we say with Bad Bunny, with the athletes that kind of felt like they wanted to say something about ICE from the podium. It's just not have the non-political aspect of sports, because to me, so much of the politics is sort of connected to that sports mindset of my team versus your team, and we really want our team to win and all this kind of thing. But it's sort of just a fake thing with sports. It's like it's made up. Yeah, it matters because you invest so much emotion and so much hard work if you are one of the athletes into it. But it's not like really big picture stuff, that big a deal. And I think that's why there's some people, like I know our colleague Greg Kelly on his show weekdays will often be saying, oh, I can't stand sports and it's such a waste of time and it's the bread and the circuses and all this kind of thing. But as an escape and as sort of a replacement for a lot of the stress that we live with every day, sports can be really great. And I think the Olympics can be really great. I'm partial to the Summer Olympics as opposed to the Winter Olympics. Winter Olympics were fine. But, it's a chance for us to kind of get an escape from some of this stuff.
I agree with you about the Summer Olympics. But I will say that, I can channel my anger at, say, the New England Patriots. I watch the Super Bowl just to watch them lose, no matter who they're playing. But it's all not real, because in real life, I despise the New England Patriots. But I think you're right. And what's happened is that this whole political conundrum that exists now, where you're on our team or you're on their team, or you could be on our team but say something not as strong about the other team as you did before, and people get upset. And by the way, I think this is going to happen to Mayor Mamdani. He was the, proud, product of democratic socialism. And now he's gotten into being mayor of the city of New York. Now he's getting a little past these first few weeks because of all the snow and that kind of thing. When he comes on now, he just talks about snow and snow removal and asks people, not to stay, to try to help people if they find them in the street and that kind of thing. But I don't think he can hang on too long before he starts to get attacked from within. From, the real communist socialists.
The more left-leaning flank or whatever.
Exactly.
The more extreme. Yeah, it's certainly possible. The whole political sphere right now is just so crazy, because I think in connection to some of the stuff we were saying, right, the sports analogy, and everybody roots for this team versus that team, and we're really dyed in the wool in the way we feel about stuff. It does feel like it's just kind of widening the gap. But there's something that's happening right now in my hometown, as a matter of fact, in my constituency here in New Jersey, where Governor Mikey Sherrill, who obviously left her congressional seat because she took the governor election, she has left this seat vacant, and they're holding a special election. This woman, Analilia Mejia, was endorsed by AOC. She used to work for Bernie Sanders. Senator Warren has endorsed her. And right now, I guess she's kind of up on former Congressman Tom Malinowski in a very close race. And I was looking at the tabs in terms of the votes that have already come in, because they count all the mail-in stuff now. And, Malinowski did pretty well in a place like Morris County. And yet in a place like Montclair, where Mikey Sherrill happens to be from, and as I like to call it, the People's Republic of Montclair, it's going super far for Analilia Mejia. So it's just like, maybe this will be an interesting race in the sense that if it is Analilia Mejia who gets the Democratic nod, yes, I guess Kamala Harris took that same district by about 10 points, so you would expect Mejia to just be able to take it. But will the Republican have a chance? Is there any way that some of this really far left socialist stuff starts to lose its flavor a little bit, lose its favor, if I will, out in the suburbs, as opposed to what goes down in New York City? I don't know. I really don't know what to expect anymore, because I don't know who all these people are that are big fans of socialism while living in some of the most expensive counties in America. But I guess they're out there.
My immediate thought is that a lot of Democrats, and you'll be happy to hear this, are silent rather than speaking out against some of the socialist policies that are being advocated by individuals who are really way out on the left. And what I've been talking to a few, Democrats I know, starting with Judge Richard Weinberg, is for us to round up some people who have some sanity left and start thinking about a way to put this party together again in a way that appeals to all people. And we have certainly, went through periods where we had to stand by candidates so that there'd be more diversity in government. And I think to a certain degree that has worked. But now I think candidates, we're back to are being judged by their conduct and their points of view and their policies as opposed to anything else. So I am hopeful that in a race such as that, that a, moderate Democrat would, because of all of the people who are involved with the front runner, that a moderate Democrat could see himself working for Malinowski.
Well, it remains to be seen because I think a lot of people. You
don't sound very convinced, James. That's all right. I'll try again.
I don't know. It's just it's sort of like I've seen this movie so many times now. It feels like, and maybe I shouldn't be so cynical, and maybe I shouldn't be so defeatist because it's not really true to say so many times now. But just to see this woman, Analilia Mejia, in the lead. It's like, all right, I guess this is the Mamdani thing all over again. And then I figure, well, that's just the primary, so it doesn't really matter. But is the Republican really going to win in this district? And of course, I'm talking about, New Jersey right now. But it's I don't know. It's tough to say because, like I said, the whole gap just seems to be widening and the blue get bluer and I guess the red get redder. Some of it is also the weird redistricting and gerrymandering stuff that goes on all the time. But it just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in so-called representative democracy.
Yeah, I tell you, the one part of government that I did not like being a part of back during my service, which was 1985 until 2010 when I left the governor's office, was redistricting. And you could say it's nonpartisan, but it inevitably becomes partisan. And you should have seen some of the lines that were drawn by some of my colleagues. At one point, I was representing Harlem and the Upper West Side of Manhattan. That's what I represented. They came out with a district map that had me in Washington Heights. And I thought if it had been any further, I would have been in New Jersey, even though New York people drew the lines.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, you look at some of those maps that are not the voting maps, but I always think of the Statue of Liberty, for example. I think if you look very closely at the state line, the one, it goes down and it juts out really quickly so that the Statue of Liberty could technically be in New York.
Right. And they didn't draw around it.
It's no. And, the weird little finger phalanges you see in some of these voting districts. It's like, wait, what the heck is that? Why is this?
Exactly.
Anyway.
All right. Yeah. Well, 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'd like to hear from you. David Patterson with James Flippen. We'll be back.
The left versus the right on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The left versus the right. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
David Patterson and James Flippen here with you on a Saturday. James, I understand somebody wants to talk to us.
Yes, they do, Governor Patterson. I'm looking at the call board here now. So why don't we say hello to Maria, who is buzzing us from South Carolina. Hi, Maria. How are you?
Hi. It's so great to hear both of you. I just love it. I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in Greenpoint. So,
and I'm from Brooklyn too, Maria.
My son moved down here and stole my grandchildren, so I had to follow. But I still have a house in Rockaway at the beach. So anyway, one of the reasons I called is the halftime show. I'm into the football and all. BTS, this is a group from South Korea. They are amazing. They're 7 young men. They started when they were like maybe 14 or 15. They're now in their late 20s. And they're such great role models. I was a history teacher in Brooklyn and, taught the high school. And so I just saw the behavior and everything and the music that the kids listen to. But when I see these young men, I'm 79 years, or soon to be 79 years old, I am so impressed with them. They donated $1 million to Black Lives Matter. And, within 24 hours, their fans also donated it. They call their fans the Army. It's an acronym for different things. It's not meaning a real army. But they've got
Maria, the K-pop, the K-pop genre and BTS. They're just absolutely massive. I mean, it's a massive phenomenon. I remember years ago when I worked at iHeartRadio, we heard about these guys and the line around the building, and it's like, wait. What? Who? They're that big a deal? And they were. And great call. Thank you for making it, Maria. It would be very fun to see somebody like that involved in a halftime show. Again, I don't think the Governor Patterson, I don't think anybody really gets that bent out of shape with the concept that it has to be an American act. But the Bad Bunny being kind of, anti-American is the thing that seems to have people a little bit upset. And I can understand that because football is the American game at the end of the day. We like to call baseball the American pastime, but really the American game is football. But South Korea's BTS, why not?
All right, bring on someone else.
Let's see. We've got Viviana in Brooklyn. Let's stay with the Brooklyn connection and talk to Viviana.
Thank you very much, Governor Patterson and Mr. Flippin. I don't know if you let me call you James. I am enjoying your spot really, really thoroughly because I see that you can disagree but respect each other, and you can still make your points. If only D.C. would be able to start operating in this effective manner, we would have a lot more done. So thank you for that part.
Viviana, thank you so much for making the call.
Viviana.
I called. No. Okay. I want to make my point. Go ahead.
Okay.
No,
go ahead.
Patterson.
You go ahead.
No, Viviana,
okay.
Go ahead.
Because of all the things that are happening, a major incident is not being given enough airtime. This Tuesday past, a small group of agitators who were true believers of Mandami went to Gracie Mansion and they protested outside. They actually said, we voted for you. You lied to us. And they started going, shame, shame, shame. So I think it was James that mentioned, I wonder when that's going to happen. It already started.
Yeah.
And Governor Patterson, I'm telling you, if you can get more people to speak up, then I think the city would be better only because these people from the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, are playing a master chess political game.
I can't thank you enough for bringing that up, Viviana, and we're trying, and keep calling. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so good to hear from Viviana there, and thank you for the kind words as well. Let's check
James,
in with
complimented the way we treat each other. If they only knew
and it's so funny. Thank you for reminding me of that, Governor Patterson, because I was chatting with my mother before the show started because I wanted to let her know I was going to be on. And I said, I'm thinking maybe if we take some calls, we'll get some spiciness in there because, we don't necessarily always get at each other's throats like, it used to be with the Anthony Weiner era or whatever. But apparently people like when we're nice to each other. So let's talk to Tony in New Jersey before we close up shop for the day. Hey, Tony.
How you doing? Governor Patterson, this is for you. I think you should run for U.S. Senator.
Okay.
You're great. You're a moderate Democrat. You have a lot of common sense. You're educated. You have government experience. You're a handicapped person. And you're African American. You got it all. And I think you should run. Run as an independent.
I love it.
And I'm a Republican.
Oh.
And I would vote for you if I could.
Can I tell you something? At least once every 2 weeks, someone stops me on the street. And a lot of people stop me because they recognize me. But stops me on the street and says, Governor Patterson, I really thought you were great when you were in office. And then they lean forward like they're telling me a secret. And they go, and I'm a Republican. And I look at him, I said, are you kidding? Republicans the only friends I have left. Oh, thanks for calling. James, this was a great idea.
Tony, thanks for making the call. Good call. Yeah, well, Governor Patterson, it's nice to be able to connect with the listeners of the left versus the right because, it is, at the end of the day, a little bit of a political debate, a little bit of a political back and forth, but we're all in this together, and we certainly feel as though the opportunity to talk to the listeners of 77 WABC is nothing but a treat.
Well, thank you for joining me again. I always love doing the show with you. I think this was our best show. It was a lot of energy today. And right at the end.
So wait, before you go, who's your pick for the Super Bowl?
I'm picking Seattle because I hate the New England Patriots.
You despise them.
I despise them. Thank you all for listening. Stay tuned. A lot of music tonight and a lot of football tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to The Left versus the Right. You can hear The Left versus the Right Saturday afternoons at 4. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?